Go. Hello, everybody, internet interwebs. My name is Will, and we are here doing a podcast. This is called the Getting to Know You podcast, where I get to meet other people and just have a conversation with them. We start off with some breaking questions. This is the first episode, so obviously I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so we're doing humble beginnings. My first guest is Christopher. How you doing?
Hello, William. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm just kind of, the days are kind of dreamlike right now, like both in nice ways and bad ways.
Aren't you speaking the truth? Like, honestly, this quarantine has been an absolute tragedy. Well, I mean, that's probably not even the right word for it. I mean, this probably goes deeper than that, but it is
Well, no,
what
I
it
know
is.
what you mean. And I mean, at least you and I are okay.
Yeah.
There's definitely other people. I always have to at least remind myself. Like I said, sometimes it's dreamy and like, what day is it? What's going on? I don't have anything to do today. But sometimes it's kind of like nightmarish when you sit alone with your thoughts or listen to the news too much. But when I do get in my head in that second way, I just try to remind myself, like, okay, I have my four walls, I have shelter, I have food. Just from the very basics. Just work your way up. Like I am healthy for now, and I feel fine. So that's how I handle that at least.
That's perfect. First off, thank you so much for coming into and doing this. You're the first guest that's
Yay.
on this. You were the first person to reach out to me when I posted up the idea. This idea kind of just came out of nowhere, but obviously I found out later that it's been done. So usually when you think of something, you look it up to find out if somebody did it, and somebody did. But because when you think about it, somebody already did it already. So it's like, it doesn't matter. So at this point, apparently there is types of podcasting where they have like people talk to each other and kind of get that out of the way. But we're going to start the session with, I found random questions on the internet. And I'm just going to ask you some quick questions. And then after that, you can ask me questions. I can ask you questions. And just see where this goes. Obviously, humble beginnings, people. I don't have a formula yet. Don't come for me. All right. So here it is. If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
If I could live anywhere, where would it be?
Yes.
That's a great question. I would say for a while I was kind of going between Los Angeles and New York City in my mind, just because my dream is to kind of do something performance-wise, whether that be just like as a personality, or like as a comedian, or even like voice work. Those two cities are very happening, and you can just have more opportunity. But lately, I feel like I'm a little more drawn to like New York City.
You know what? I always wanted to live in a big city. I always wanted to go to like LA, because for the same reason, but not necessarily like I'm not a comedian. I don't know. I mean, I went to LA to visit I have a brother who lives in LA, and I went to go visit. And when I saw that, I was like, what? This was an amazing city. Because the thing is that one thing I like about LA is obviously the traffic, the fires, the earthquakes, the heat.
The cost of living.
The cost of living. How everything is so far apart. But the benefit of living in California in general is that you have access to beaches, mountains, everything. So whatever you feel like it, you have access to it anywhere you want to go. Granted, not right now because of the quarantine, but...
Right.
But yes, this is obviously speaking from a pre-quarantine situation. But yes, I think like I feel like LA would be fun. I feel like New York would be really fun. Every time I go to those cities, it's always like good luck happens to me there. I don't know why. It's like,
that's a good sign, though.
It is. It's a really good sign. I got more good luck from LA though, so I don't know. But I'm like, I don't want to do movies.
Would you say that would be LA would be your answer for that same question?
See, I know I mentioned LA a lot, but I kind of want to say New York, because I just feel like New York is like like a place where you can like get with friends. There's a lot more stuff that's close together. Everything's in walking distance. It's like the complete opposite of LA in every way. It's like I feel like New York is more for music, and I feel like LA is more for acting. And even though you can do both essentially, no matter what city you live in, but I feel that like if you want to be a YouTuber, a personality, a comedian, you go to LA. If you can do the same in New York, but I feel like if you want to do music, Broadway or something, you go to New York. But honestly, I say New York because there's just a lot more variety. You know, it's weird, very strange, very strange. Let's do the next. I like that. I don't know. I love New York's. I love New York. It has a Nintendo World store. I mean, I have to go to New York. Stupid reason, but that's the only reason why I get it over LA. So that's me.
You are wearing a Mario hat as we speak. So I mean.
Yeah, and an appropriate shirt. Hakuna Matata, no worries. So
while we were connecting earlier, I was admiring your shirt, and I think it's great.
Thank you, because I mean, in a way, I don't. You know what? This was completely by accident. I just randomly picked it, and I'm like, maybe this means Hakuna Matata means no worry for the rest of your days, so you're good. Nice. So let's see. What is your proudest accomplishment?
I would say probably getting a degree, and because it was really hard. And I originally graduated high school in 2009, and we started going to UT Austin. I'm from El Paso, so it's still in Texas, and I was able to get into UT and started there as a music major. I was actually a voice major, and eventually switched to theater education, and then just to theater, and then realized like I'm not ready to be in school right now. So I think I dropped out in 2012 or 13, one of the two, after like 4 years of changing majors. And then I didn't come back to school until I moved here and started resuming at UNM. Let's see, that was 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago in 2015. So it took like a while. It's like altogether, like it's taken like 11 years for me to finally graduate on and off school. So I mean, just the fact that I finally did it, I think that's what I'm pretty proud of.
You know what? That's actually fantastic. I always wanted to go to school, and I did start going to school. But then the moment that, like, I guess my scholarship or whatever was up, because I was going to community college, and this was back when I was living in Philadelphia. So this was like back in like 2007. So I went to the school, and then I realized I was running out of money, and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work because it was community college, so obviously I wasn't getting the full effect that a university could give you. And so I'm just thinking, is it worth me risking? Because I'm not a great student when it comes to, like, I'm not academically good at all. So if I'm going to be judged based off of that and I got to pay for it, put myself in debt for the rest of my life, and then I don't even know if I'm going to get what I want to get, especially because, like, with like music or performance in general, like nothing is ever like 100%. At the end of the day, it's just about who you know. If you, luck. What was that song? It was a song that was by Fort Minor. It says this is 20% luck, something 15% power, will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. Something like that. That was the lyrics. So there was something like that, which is good. Oh, cool! We got a dog.
Yes, I have dogs, and I'm right by the window, so the dogs like to look at other dogs to pee.
Oh, okay, that's cool. This is cool. Look, this is how you know that this is real.
Yes, this is very real. It's real.
So has the quarantine affected you in any way, shape, or form? Like, has it affected your job? Has it affected your anything like that? I mean, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to answer. But
no, I am comfortable talking about it. Although I was going through some difficulties at the beginning. To pay for my way throughout school, I've been a server, and the job that I most recently held before the quarantine started, I was serving at this restaurant by Coronado Mall, and and it was great. But like it was right after tax season, so I finally like was able to visit my sister who lives in Kentucky, and like when I came back, that's when the restrictions started happening like in mid-March. And so I unfortunately got laid off from my serving job just because most restaurants have removed dine-in service, so it's only like takeout. So yeah, that was kind of scary. That was kind of and especially I'm the kind of person that I'm very unnerved if like I don't have everything taken care of, like safety. Like, so yeah, I have this month taken care of for rent, but what about next month? And I need to make sure that I overcompensate for everything. So, I guess normal things that the brain goes through. And I was able to apply for unemployment, thankfully, since restrictions were eased on that for people who lose their jobs because of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear anything from the unemployment office because they were just like swamped for like almost a month after I applied. So that was really scary, but I was able to get into Grubhub food delivery like right in time. And so I basically was still a server, but just on wheels.
well, that's good that you were able to like have like a backup plan and that it worked out in the long run. Like,
yeah,
really quickly. Like for me, my job didn't take any precautions, period. Like, and I was really upset because I'm like thinking, I don't know how to feel, because the thing is that I know what a quarantine life is. I've been in quarantine for like 7 years of my life. And so when I started to get out of that, the moment I get out of it and the moment I'm getting in a comfortable place, then I have to go right back into it again, this time forced. But it was the opposite effect. So I wanted to feel safe in my house, because obviously watching the news, they make it more scary. They're saying all these things. They're saying death tolls. They're saying numbers. They're saying all these things. And at first, when this came out, like, you don't know what to believe. And right. At this point, you're just kind of like, you're like put over here, over there. And my job didn't take any precautions. Like, all these stores were closing down. A lot of like clothing stores like shut down first, that I know. And then it just kept go. Then it went to food. Then it went to like all these different like movie theaters, malls, things like that with large gatherings canceled. Then they canceled our concerts. They canceled all these things. And that's when I realized that like this is scary, because it was gradually getting scarier and scarier and scarier. Because with more cancellations you hear, the more scarier it got. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go to any store. I don't want to go to Walmart. I don't want to go to no grocery store. I don't want to go anywhere. But then my job wasn't taking anything serious. It wasn't until about maybe 4 or 5 weeks into the pandemic, like literally starting like in April, like starting the beginning of April was when they finally decided to give us just masks to wear. They didn't limit the amount of people that came into the store. They didn't enable check. They didn't do curbside, nothing. And they gave me more hours as opposed to less, which scared me. And I'm like, okay, well, this is good because I'm getting money and I need to worry about what I get money. And then we got the stimulus checks. I'm like, okay, good, I'm ahead. And then all of a sudden, last week, or not last week, but like on the 19th of April, they cut my hours to like 1 day a week. And I'm like, what do I do? So it's a very scary situation. It's a very scary thing in general. So it's not like, what do we do in this situation? So it's like, there's really nothing we can do. And like people want the country and stuff to open up, and I get it. I understand, but at the same time, it's like safety. Then I realized I had a lot of anger built up because of just like when you are a quote unquote essential worker. Yeah. My opinion, sacrificial is more like it. Yeah. But when you are a essential worker and then you have to deal with a scared public, and there's some people that it started off as respectful and people were like really respecting, and then all of a sudden people just became mean and just rude and just
really
I'm like, okay, I get that we don't have your monitors, sir, but at the end of the day, everybody's going through what you're doing. Everybody, and there's so many things I wish I could say to people. Like I remember one time I like literally lost it at my job. I literally lost it.
Oh no.
It was over the phone. Somebody called me. asking if I could take their order over the phone. We did do curbside. And I said, sir, the store is open. You can walk into the store if you want. He says, no, but I want to do curbside. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to go to our website and then you're going to have to make the purchase and do this. He says, well, you can't take my credit card over the phone. I said, well, there's no way that we can take your credit card over the phone because our machine doesn't allow that to happen. And plus, that's quote unquote fraud. We can't do that. He's like, well, other companies are doing that. And I said, well, our company doesn't. And I'm sorry, our company doesn't do it. And he didn't like my tone. And at this point, because I'm answering the phone every day and answering the same questions all day, and it's like, are you guys open? Blah, 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 blah. Are you still taking this? Do you have this in stock? And I keep saying, no, we don't have hand sanitizer in stock. We don't have this in stock. And it was just a nightmare. Anyways, so I ended up, the guy got mad at me and said, he says, well, this is ridiculous. I'm going to shop at this store, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God.
And whatever. And I'm like, rolling my eyes. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, then go shop at the other store. Nobody cares. Like, go ahead. I don't care. They probably have the same thing that we do. I don't know. Yeah. I'm like, he said, I'm going to go to your competition. I'm like, go to a freaking competition. Like, that affects me in any way. Talk to the freaking upper people. They'll take care of you. But, like, at the end of the day, he didn't like the way I talked. And then he's like, what's your name? Because he asked me a question. He asked me a question. I said, I guess. That's all I said. I said, I guess. He asked me a question. I don't even remember what he asked me. But I just said, I guess. He said, what's your name? So I just hung up the phone. And then I told my manager, and I said, you know what? There's going to be a person who's a rude idiot who's going to call and ask to speak to you anyway. And, there you go. So I didn't get reprimanded because obviously everybody's understanding that this is a very stressful time at this point. But yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry that went on longer than that should have. I am so sorry.
There's some feelings there, and like you worked if you're selling things like that, like hand sanitizer and like anything that's kind of in major demand all of a sudden, you're literally dealing with people who are upset with the situation, and you're the first person they can take it on.
But this was over pens, though. This wasn't even over an important thing. It was over pens that you can get anywhere. Pens, file folders. Like, the guy was gonna give me a list, and then he says, I want you to just shop around for me, get all the items that I tell you over the phone. I'm like, are you crazy? We got like a whole bunch of people. Go online and do your shopping. That's the reason why I don't understand people. But anyways, let's move on to the next question.
Okay, yes. Now that it's out,
I'm so sorry. Okay, so now that we got that out of the first episode, everything else from now on will, be for Chris right now. So
you're good. No worries.
so sorry. All right. What would you sing at a karaoke night?
Ooh, what would I sing at a karaoke night? Lately I've been listening to like some like 90s jam stuff, like electronic, like early house stuff, and oh gosh, the song that comes to mind is I just listened to it this morning and I cannot think of the name.
Is it Pump Up the Jam? Pump it
That's
up.
A good one.
Oh, that was it.
Salt and Pepper. This one is by Robin S. And oh my gosh, it's gonna bother me.
I'm so sorry to put this upon you. That wasn't the purpose of this question.
No, the thing of it is, like, I'm mad at myself that I'm just mad because I should just pick like the second or third song on my head, but since I just heard this song, it's just like
it's just
which is fair game. You shouldn't have to apologize.
Oh no, true.
I had this. Oh my goodness, Robin S. So it's by the singer Robin S, and she's from like the 90s, kind of like early house. Show Me Love. Is that the song?
Show Me Love.
Yes.
Show Me Love, Robin S.
Yes, that's the song. Yeah.
So give it a chance and give it a check out. So do you think you would kill this performance?
I think so. I would have to practice the song a little more. My other go-to song is, and I'm telling you, I'm not going from Dreamgirls. and I love that song. I don't. I like songs where you can kind of belt, and I have that kind of voice. Like we know each other from choir, so we're both singers. I have kind of a heavy voice. Like I'm a bass baritone, and it's low, but I can definitely like belt it out. So like songs that like with singers like that, it suits me well. So I think I might.
I see. Honestly, like me, I like sad songs. I'm very emo, so I love ballads. And I love songs like I am telling you, like, oh my God, I don't know if I would be brave enough to do that one. I feel like I would have to be like on my fifth song, comfortable, got used to the audience. You know, people are liking the songs I choose. So I would always pick something safe to sing first.
That's probably smarter.
So I would always do that, and I'll just pick something safe. I don't know though, for real, because like whenever I get that book, the karaoke book, I panic because there's just so many choices, and I'm like, wait a minute, they don't have this song, they don't have this song, they don't have this song, and I'm just like, I don't know. But like,
and then getting over the fright of like, oh, I'm also gonna have to sing in front of people, like.
And a bar setting too. It's not like I'm singing on a stage. I'm like singing like at a side table or something. And I'm like, oh, but nobody's like going to pay attention. I don't know. I'm so sorry. This is humble beginnings, people. Humble beginnings. What can I say? Eventually. Yeah. But honestly, what song would I sing? What song would I sing? I don't know. Maybe. No, that would not be the first song I would sing. I'll probably sing like Unchained Melody or something like that. Something like that.
Wow.
Like that would probably be like, because that's like a comfortable song that I sing all the time. So it's like,
you have such a high voice, like compared to me, and that I think that would sound so good. I feel like that's totally like in your wheelhouse.
Because originally I was trained in opera. And then even though that's not the path I wanted to go, I did not want to go the opera route. But I did end up going to but then I ended up going into Broadway, and then I ended up liking more Broadway stuff. And then but then I realized I'm not an actor, so it's like I couldn't do Broadway. I like to sing, but it would like be Broadway songs. So then my teacher like introduced me to like Josh Groban, Michael Bublé, a few other people like that. And then from then on, that kind of became like, I'm like, oh, if I wanted to be a performer, that would be the type of performer I would like to be. I would like to be like a Michael Bublé, Josh Groban type person. But I don't know. That's just me.
We both had opera training, so I think that's we have that in common.
So hey, that's cool. We found something in common. Well, the singing we always knew was in common, and so there was that. But wow, I did not know that you also practice in opera as well. So that was cool. Was that accident, or did you automatically like get into opera? Like, did you accidentally happen to get into it because it's like was part of like a class or something?
I was really into just choir, like. Whenever you got to pick an elective, like in middle school, and some people went into orchestra and some people went into art, I went into the choir. Like for some reason, I just always was attracted to it. And then in high school, as my voice finally started changing and staying, because you know, when male singers, if you start at a young age, it will change, and you kind of have to just be patient with it. And I noticed my teachers loved that my voice was so deep, and because like. Choirs always need male voices, period, but especially low voices. So I got to they use me a lot, like for solo and ensemble and solos and quartets and stuff like that. So, and I just got a lot of really positive feedback in that. And then when it was time to go to college, I just always told myself like, well, I've been singing longer than I've been acting, even though I love acting. I love doing musicals. I might as well just go into music, which is pretty intense. Like music theory is hard, and just the history and the studio hours, like you have to be really dedicated to it to like see it through, I think.
Yeah, I feel like music theory is more interesting if you actually like are with the artists that works with the music. Like I hate learning from a third person perspective because I'm like, how do you know that Beethoven felt that way? How like sometimes there's times where you just want to like talk, like if you had like a chance to like actually speak to a musician who made like a music, like let's say that you got a chance to speak to Jennifer Holiday when she first sang "And I Am Telling You." Like, could you imagine like asking her like, how did you feel when you first sang that? Did you get emotional when you heard the lyrics? Did you like you would have questions like the person who originally sings it, and then like the songwriter or something, like who, like you would want to know more about the story behind the song and why it's so special, because it, like, I would ask, like, did you know that this was going to be big? Did you know this was going to be for a thing? Then you find out facts like this wasn't originally supposed to be on Dreamgirls, believe it or not. This was supposed to be on an R&B record, or like, I don't know. And then you just never know. And it was supposed to be a country song originally, and then you're like, wait, what? Not saying that it is, but like, you know, like that's where I find it interesting, where you get to like, actually, that was my problem with music, because when I started music classes, the music theory obviously I know needs to be done, but when I had to do like history, it was like teaching me like jazz and Bach and Beethoven. I'm like, this is not the music I do, you know. I like the music and I appreciate it, but it's not the music I do. So the only time when I wanted to perform more than anything, and there were schools that do like performances every week and stuff. Like if you went to Berkeley School of College, you work with people who work with the recording and who want to practice recording musicians, and that's their assignment every week. Or like if you went to, or you perform every week at like a free concert show, and then there's even like a thesis where you get to create your own repertoire of music to sing as a soloist. You work with people and all that stuff. I'm like, do you know how badly I wish that was my schooling? But obviously I understand that you can't put this in like a community college, and I understand that like you have to go to a university that specializes in music, which is why I love New York. Mm-hmm. Because you get all that experience. You get to know people in the industry as you're going into the industry. Like, could you imagine if you had like a whole bunch of best friends? One was a tech person, one worked like in studio. You had a bunch of friends that work in bands and stuff like that. And then at the end, you guys say, hey guys, I'm bored. Do you guys want to work on an album? Like, I've been writing some music down, and you know, I need to lay this track down and whatnot. You upload it to like Spotify, and the next thing you know, it blows up and stuff. And then all of a sudden, you know, you never know. It's just,
oh yeah, and then just being in that kind of environment just kind of gets you going and kind of inspires you, especially when you're working with people and going to school with people who are as into it as you.
That's the thing, is that you need to be with people who want it just as bad as you do. And because I feel like they say that successful people want success for the people that they hang out with. I think that was the term that my brother used to use. Like, basically, successful people want you to be successful, because they know what it's like to be in a position where you're not successful, and you want to get to a point where you are at this great level where you of success and things like that. Because, you know, why would a quote? I know that this sounds so demeaning, and I don't mean it to sound this way, but it's like, why would anybody want to hang out with somebody? If you're successful, why do you want to hang out with people who can drag you down? You know, so you would want other successful people to hang out with, because your drive is to move forward, not to stay still. And I feel like you need to move with other people who are willing to move forward and moving at your pace, or, you know, stuff like that. It's such a slippery slope, but I think you get what I mean. But I don't know, you got to watch what you say, because then eventually things will go back and haunt you later on. They're like, oh, this is what Will said back in the day. Like I'm not expecting this to like reach millions of people. I'm not expecting this to be a big thing. I'm not expecting this at all. But in case if it ever does, you know, you got to watch what you say.
No, that I think that's the world that we're moving into now, as technology is in our hands and we can record and take pictures of anything at an instant. So that's totally, I get that.
Yep. So so here's another question. Okay. Interesting question. Would you rather win the lottery or work at the perfect job, and why?
Oh, interesting. I think I would rather work at the perfect job. Even though, I feel like the lottery has its benefits, but when you're with a perfect job, I mean, after like I feel like I've worked in so many like jobs where I'm just like I feel like just a number in the system. Like I feel like I would really appreciate a job where I could put my talents to use and I could work to like help people. And I feel like I could kind of just I would appreciate the accomplishment of getting there because I know how shitty some jobs can be, especially when you're just working to pay the bills. Whereas in the lottery, you kind of get the money, you get the benefit of it all at once, but you don't really get. You might not appreciate it as much because you literally can go from one day with hardly much to the next day with everything you wanted. So I think even though they're both nice, I would appreciate it more if I had the perfect job.
Which I absolutely agree with you, because the thing is that if you get a job, it's a journey, and you realize the work, you appreciate things more when you have to work for something as opposed to just getting money and having no idea what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's the problem with the whole lottery aspect of things, is that it's lazy money. You get everything at a go, but then if a job is part of your life, even if let's say that you made enough money where you don't need a job anymore, I mean, that's putting yourself in quarantine, and we all know how that's going.
Yeah, exactly. You may think it might be nice, but it's not always nice.
No, it's not nice. When you have enough money where you can stay at home and literally do nothing, I think everybody would choose the job at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I've had enough. I've had all I can take being at home.
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, what would be the perfect job for you? Like, if you could describe your perfect job, what would that be?
My perfect job. Let's see. I've thought about this here and there. I think I would almost want to be like a Mr. Rogers. I think that would be my perfect job because I love kind of performing and I like kind of entertaining but I also like the idea of like educating and like helping other people and kind of doing something like putting those skills towards the greater good of like just allowing like using my talent for like talking to people and bringing people in to kind of reach a big audience, but to provide something beneficial, like because in a world like I feel like where we're so distanced by technology and kind of news like that's kind of scary, like nowadays with the pandemic or just with politics in general, it's and how angry some people are at each other. I just feel like the best thing that the world could benefit from would be just to kind of bring people together and just kind of let them know that they're listened to and that there's something out there for them. So yeah, even though being like a famous comedian or TV personality would be cool, I feel like just the added benefit of just like, but I'd want to like reach children and I'd want to like reach people who need to hear me and just the extra mile like that.
Are you gonna like sing songs too and everything? Like, please won't you be my neighbor?
Yes. Except that I'm kind of like my voice and my big old head. I'm kind of like Barney, so it would be a lot goofier. And I'm a big old ham, so everything would have to be kind of like over the top and corny and funny. But I'm the man for the job.
I could totally see you doing a show like that. I could totally see you doing a show like that. And just like in my head, like I'm already even picturing it. Like I'm picturing the background scenario. I'm picturing everything. So it's interesting. I totally can see that working. Make the kids show happen, people. If you need a host,
so I have to remember this.
Yeah, so if you need a show and you're looking for somebody to be a host,
yes,
especially during this time, since this is your audition right now, let's go. But I don't know, like, my perfect. There's a difference between perfect and something that you enjoy doing, and if you pick perfect, it's something that you enjoy doing too. But if I could pick a perfect job where it literally fulfills all my needs at once, I need something that, like, I love performing. And if I can make performing like my job, that would be it. But with performing comes a lot of uncertainty. comes a lot of anxiety, a lot of practice, and if you mess up once, it's a lot of self-doubt and self-sabotage. So regardless, singing or performing wouldn't technically be the perfect job for me. I don't know, like maybe like a radio show host or something. Like if the thing is that I don't think I have the voice for it though. Like I need that's like where a deep voice would come in handy, because people would be like, oh, your voice is kind of annoying. Like when I listen to myself, obviously I think I'm annoying. So like if I listen to this back and I have to edit or something like that, I'm gonna be like,
that's the case for a lot of people though.
It is the case. It is the case. Like a lot of people don't like the way that they sound. And I'm just like, but it's like having to be energetic all day. That's another thing. It's like the problem is that I don't know what perfection is. You know, I just want something that pays my bills, but also gives me more money that I can spend it on whatever I want. And just be able to have the freedom to do what I want. You know, like if I feel like I want to do this, or if I feel like I want to do that, like if I'm like I want to go on a vacation today, I have the money to do the vacation. You know, or if I just want to like go someplace to think or whatever, I can do that. But like if you're always constantly on the road, like God, I make every single answer so like complicated and complex. It's something I got to get over. But let's just say that the perfect job is streaming. How about that? That's good. That it requires performance, it requires playing video games, and that requires hours and hours of isolation. Perfect.
Not just the right amount of energy that you need.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes. So that's pretty much what I would like to do. But then you also make enough money to travel and do stuff that you want to do. And then your job is literally can go anywhere with you. So that's another thing. So that's cool too.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm gonna ask like one more like question on here, and then I guess we could just ask more questions like to each other. Dang, we're already 36 minutes into this. Wow.
Nice.
Cool. I'm just looking for a really good question. Do you have any family traditions?
Family tradition. You know, like my family and I, like my immediate family, my parents and my sister, we when we're together, we like to do, I don't know, we like to do activities together, and whether that be like we used to like to play croquet, which is so corny because not a lot of people play croquet. But like my dad is really into like thrift store shopping, and one time he found this croquet set. And he was like, "Doesn't this sound like fun? We should do it." You know. So one weekend we learned how to do it.
Like, did you just Google it or something?
My dad was able to find some instructions. I don't know if they came with the set or what. I think he might have had them, or he might have had it in the book somewhere. But it has so many things. But yeah, we just kind of read actually from like a manual and learned how to do it. And we haven't done it in a while, but it's that kind of thing. Like we kind of like to go out and like explore a different place or do something like that, like have a picnic and crochet or croquet.
Crochet.
I crochet too, but I don't do that with a family. We croquet.
So you crochet with the family, but crochet by yourself.
Yes. It's kind of awkward when you crochet by yourself.
I mean, yeah, croqueting by yourself is kind of sad. Like it's a game, you got to play with somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, interesting. Do I have a family tradition thing that I know I do. But it's not really necessarily a tradition per se. It's not like something that we do every year, but it's like we do family get-togethers every now and again, but it's random. It's not like a specific holiday or specific day. It's just whenever we can, we try to get the family to come together and we talk and stuff. But I'm even socially awkward around my family because the thing is that I am in this case, the white sheep of the family. So see, all my family is they're from Puerto Rico. So here
Okay.
I don't speak any Spanish. I understand it, but I look white as Snow White. I don't know. Um, and on top of that, like, I don't have any features. Like, people would say that you don't look white, but Italian maybe, like, like that's what I think that they would like say to me. That's what people would always say to me all the time. They would say, "Oh, you look like Elvis Presley or whatever," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like fat Elvis, skinny Elvis, because like I don't know if this is a compliment. Like I don't know. Um, what else? I, traditions. That was the question.
Like maybe even getting together like during holidays.
I mean, it's such a boring answer, though. Like croquet is such a better answer because that's like so obscure. It's something that not everybody does. And it's like
Hmm.
interesting to hear that. I'm like, oh wow, you just croquet out of nowhere. It's like I don't know. Like me, what I like to do is that sometimes I like to bring out like a video game console and then my family plays. I guess that's a tradition that I do. And I also like to just play games with people because I feel like that gets me out of my comfort zone as opposed to just having to talk to people. So
Like board games.
board games, video games, making up random games that like I just come up with rules like on the spot and I just figure it out and it's
I
then
like that.
yeah, because like with kids, like I always gravitate to kids because kids are easier to talk to because I'm just a big kid. And they get my references, they understand what games I'm talking about, they get it. Whenever I speak to like adults, it's very, very interesting because sometimes it's like I don't know anything about social security income and I don't know nothing about stocks and I don't know nothing about money or owning a business or I don't have a fancy job where I work at an office or something like that. So it's like I don't have much of a life. I don't go to restaurants. I'm a very picky eater. Um, yeah, I'm like I can't spend money to get rid of the pickiness because I'm like I can't spend $15 on a plate of something that I don't know if I'm gonna eat. That's like a waste of $15. I'll just get something I rather would eat. Um, but yeah, um, that's that. Now we could do freestyle questions if you have the time, where we could just
Yeah, I
ask
do.
each other questions randomly. So I don't know if you want to ask me first, or if you want me to ask you, or so we'll see.
I'll ask you. Since you've been asking most of the questions. I will. I was wondering if you were born and raised in Albuquerque.
No. I was born in Philadelphia. When I was 3, I moved to Albuquerque because my aunt moved here. I think for a job, or I think it was my uncle. I don't remember, but they ended up moving here. They said that the cost of living here was a lot cheaper than Philadelphia, and that it was a lot safer than it was in Philadelphia at that time. And so when we moved to Albuquerque, I was like 3. Stood here till like I was like 7 or 8. We moved back to Philadelphia. I spent all of my teens in Philadelphia, and then when I was 23, I moved out of Philadelphia, came out, and lived with my sister, and then now that's just kind of the story.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's more like Philadelphia. I was born, raised was here, but if I were to do the math, I've lived in Albuquerque longer than I lived in Philadelphia. If we were to
Okay,
take my
interesting.
entire if we take my entire lifespan and put it together. What's a good question? So I know that you play video games. So
Ish.
have you been playing anything lately?
I have not really. I'm not the biggest gamer, but I definitely grew up like a Nintendo kid. So like I had an N64, I had a GameCube. I had and a Wii, and then I had a Switch with my ex boyfriend. But that was one of the things that was lost with the breakup. I don't have the Switch anymore. I know, and But I mean, I got the couch, so I mean, at least I have something.
A couch. You have something. I mean, but the Switch can be played anywhere. You know, I don't know who really got the better deal. No joking.
I know, no, and now that like I'm at home all the time, I think that too.
I'm like, who had the better deal during a quarantine, a couch or a Switch? Because Switch can be
about getting a Switch. I actually.
Good luck finding one. It's sold out everywhere.
That's what I've heard. Oh no.
It's sold out everywhere, and people are like putting bots on it, and every time when they do go online, they automatically sell out. So.
Well, poop.
Well, yeah, unless if they just do an oversaturation, but I say wait till June, and then I feel like a restock is coming around then. Usually takes them about like 3 months of not having anything in stock for a full stock to come out. So there's that.
Good to know.
Yep. Just video games are my specialty.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm not the biggest gamer. I haven't done a whole lot of other stuff other than Nintendo, but I can get down on some Super Smash Bros. And some Mario Kart and Luigi's Mansion and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just platinumed it today, so I'm just happy. That means getting all the trophies, and I put 115 hours into that game.
Oh my goodness.
The quarantine life is real. I put like 4 whole days into it. But what else? Like, well, since you don't play video games as much, have you been watching anything on TV? Anything that you would recommend?
Yeah, what have I been watching? I got into Schitt's Creek, which I feel like I'm kind of late to the party with that, but it is so good. It is just so funny, and the acting is great. The whole story is just great. And being a theatrical musical kind of person, I have like some respect for a lot of the moments in it.
I remember my mom was watching Schitt's Creek, and I had no idea what she was watching. I know I seen like memes and stuff from it, and I didn't know that was from the show, because I'm like getting 2 shows mixed up with Schitt's Creek. Like I keep thinking of like Dawson's Creek or something.
Oh.
And then so it's like so like I finally figured out what it was, but I still haven't had a chance to watch it. It's like one day so here's my dilemma. I haven't watched a lot of TV at all, because it's been a mixture. It's been a mixed bag. I've been always having issues with like I was watching Handmaid's Tale, and in the moment that a season finale happens, you know, it takes me forever to get back into it. I think the only TV I've been watching is RuPaul's Drag Race, and even that's a struggle. Even that's a struggle. But I do. I haven't seen the latest episode yet, which I have to get on it. So
same. I haven't seen the latest season. I'm just rewatching a bunch of the older stuff I haven't seen before, but eventually I'll get to the new stuff.
You'll get to the new stuff, and everything will be okay. It's just gonna be a very awkward. This season's just very awkward. That's all I have to say, because there's like
kind of what I read from like social media and people talking about it and stuff. I'm like, okay, I get that it's a little different than other ones.
It's different because there's a contestant on there that's technically a criminal, and it's just very awkward to see this person on there, and you can clearly see that they edited a lot of stuff out that involves this person. And yeah, so they've been disqualified, so they're not even going to be in the final episode or anything like that. So
the scandal.
It is very scandalous. Scandalo. And that's what makes me like, it's gonna be weird to see RuPaul's Drag Race finale this year, because I'm gonna be like, that's just weird. How are they gonna do it? Like, it's gonna be over the computer. Everybody's gonna be in their own like thing, right. A Zoom call. What are they gonna do? Lip syncs over the camera? Like,
gonna do it like a puppet.
Like, hi. Like, so that's just gonna be weird to have like the reunion of questions and stuff, and then let's say that one of the queens has pixelated cameras and stuff. It's gonna just be weird. That's just strange. I don't know. I don't know if RuPaul has the budget.
Obviously, it's getting bigger and bigger, so they'll have to. But if they do something like that, they're gonna have to make it funny or make it over the top in some way.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do something. And because the thing is that cameras can go out of sync, you know, so lip syncs won't really work in this situation. I don't know. I was watching American Idol for the first time yesterday, and I didn't realize that American Idol was on anymore. And they were just randomly showing it, and I'm like, oh, it's a quarantine edition of American Idol. I'm like, ooh, this is weird. That is so weird. About that. It's so strange because it's like people just singing in their rooms or in their houses or something like that. And then when they say you made it to the next round, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, this is going to be like that very awkward time in our lives where we look back and we're like, there's a whole American Idol season that was done like through Zoom.
Home. That, like, the American Idol you know and love. Well, it's not really like that anymore.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. Oh my God, American Idol's crazy. But like,
times.
It is a sign of the times, and it's like it's weird because it's like everything is getting delayed, or everything is just because since people have more time in their hands, hackers are like releasing things. It's so weird that like you're not seeing movie theater like commercials anymore, and you're seeing all this and then like what weirds me out is that whenever you look at like commercials, like I saw like a Domino's commercial during the American Idol thing, and it said contactless delivery. Like that blew my mind. Like I'm like, wow, that is so strange. Like this is like
people want you to leave the food on the doorstep like a baby in the night, and and just like run and like just knock and like, run like here's your food.
I'm abandoning your food. But like the thing is that there's like honestly, this was like I thought that this was when the quarantine first happened, I figured that it was like going to be the perfect life for me, because I'm like, oh good, contactless everything. I don't gotta deal with people. I don't gotta talk with people. I don't gotta do anything. I just do everything. I'm like, this is what I wanted my life to be. But then now it's just like, I've came a long way from where I was. And because before I joined the chorus, and I'm gonna get a little deep here, but before I joined the chorus, I was in a relationship that lasted 7 years. And in that relationship, it was kind of weird because I had just come out and I got into this relationship with this person. This person was a little older than me, and this person had a way better job than I ever could. So I was just working in retail. This person had a way better job than I did, and I didn't know how to drive or anything. So when I moved in with this person, I was going to look for a job, but where they lived at was not in the best place. You needed a car to get to places. And I kind of got stuck. And then after that, I was just using my time, and I basically was quarantined. I became very scared of leaving the house and all this stuff like that. So I felt like I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I wanted to feel like I had purpose in life, and I wasn't just sitting there rotting away or wasting time. So I said, you know what? Let me join the chorus. And it was around 2017 that I joined the chorus. I remember that was like a really big move, because I'm like, that audition was everything. And even though like the audition process, we make it more than what it actually was, because in my brain, I thought it was going to be like this American Idol situation that was going to be hard as hell to get into, that it was just going to be a freaking nightmare. So I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, because I haven't performed in like 10 years prior before going into the chorus. So I go in there, I'm like, the last time I did the chorus was like when I was in high school. And then I go and I perform, and the next thing you know, like I got it that night. They sent me an email saying, oh, congratulations, you're in the tenor 1 section, all this stuff like that. And I just remember my mind was just blown by this. It really blew my mind, and it was something that I really needed to hear, because I'm like, yay, I'm not gonna be in quarantine anymore and stuff. And so anyway, but then I realized that I was mentally damaged from not leaving the house for so long, that leaving the house was too much for me. Like it would be too much energy. Like I couldn't go to Walmart without feeling overwhelmed by how many people were around me, or like how big a place is. Like I needed the place to be small, and it had to be like a certain amount of people, or I would feel very uncomfortable. It was really bad. So I'm still working on that. And, and I still have issues with certain places. Like I hate Walmart with a passion. So I don't go to Walmart unless if it's absolutely necessary. But yeah.
Right.
It's really bad.
Thank you for sharing that, though. I think that that's obviously you're working on it, and just to admit that it's kind of like it's a journey. It takes a while, things like that, and I've been in really long-term relationships before, like from a really really young age, and I now that I'm single for the first time in the like since I was like 18, so in the last 10 years,
Mm.
I didn't realize like how much of an adjustment it is, and you kind of
Oh
look at
yeah.
yourself and work on yourself and realize like, oh, this is where you are, and this is what, and then we just kind of have to take in the reality of things, and so just good for you, and I'm so in touch that like choir kind of brought it out of you, because I feel like when I discovered choir, I discovered a lot about myself too, and that's just awesome, and I'm so glad that that's happening for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because the thing is that for me, it's like relationships have been very difficult because it's like being in that relationship, like it has really affected me. And I didn't realize in many ways until I started seeing a therapist how much it affected me, like how much it destroyed me as a person because I wasn't talking to my family. There was a point in time where I have like old videos and I would look back at those videos and I would see that I was so talkative and I was so like into everything and I was crazy and like happy and all this other stuff. But now when I go to family events, I avoid cameras, I avoid being in pictures, I just don't even talk to my family. Like it's just like, and it feels weird because it feels like in a way it's like being adopted and then like going back and trying to know that this is your family, this is your true family, but you're used to this adopted life and this is your norm, but this has to be your new norm because it's part of you. And it's strange. It's hard to. I think that that's like the best way to describe it. It's like just imagine, just like. But this happened in adult life. I was like 23 when it happened, so it was like I didn't realize how much I put myself in a trap situation, and it wasn't my ex's fault or anything like that. It wasn't like me and him. We're still friends to this day, and we're good. It was something that I put myself in that position, and then I just let myself get comfortable, and then everything else became uncomfortable. And so it took a lot of fight and strength for me to be like, I don't want to be like this anymore. And so like I just learned how to drive like last year
Oh
because
wow,
it was a
that's
huge fear.
awesome.
It was a huge fear of mine, and I had to save up money from work, and like I was working for the first time in 7 years, and so I still beat up myself. Um, I still beat myself up about this to this day. It's something that I do have to get over, but it's something working on it. Like talking to people is very new to me, and so I'm always isolated, or especially like before a performance or whatever. I'm like quiet. So this is why I'm trying to do more social projects where I can talk to people and be a little bit more trying to find who the hell I am, because at this point you
Yeah.
kind of lose who you are and you don't know where it is. And then when it comes to relationships, like I can imagine, like I haven't been single in a minute. So the thing is that when I remember I was single my entire life, and I think my first, I was like in a relationship for a while, and then but it wasn't. It was more like a friendship, and then what my first real relationship was this relationship that I was in for 7 years, and then when I got out of that, it's hard to be alone. It's hard to get adjusted. So you're trying to find other people that want to be long term, but a lot of people, especially in the gay community, aren't ready for that, because I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people that have been in a gay relationship that lasted a while or whatever, and then they feel like they wasted time, or
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's very difficult. So it's like you don't want to be alone, but you don't want to be tied down either. So I totally get like
Yeah.
like
The
I
hookup
like
culture.
yeah, like so I totally get the hookup culture and whatnot, but like at the same time, like it's very foreign to me, and so like I don't know. I really don't know. So like I understand like it's cool to be, because when you're single, you're free. You can do whatever you want, however you want. You don't have to worry about what your partner thinks. You don't got to worry about, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I not do this or whatnot? And if you're doing that anyway, that's not a good thing, because you should be free to do what you want. But like, oh, it's so difficult because I'm not a relationship, like I'm not the best person for relationships. But I can see things, and I see where things become a little interesting. Like, how do you feel single since you were in a long-term relationship? If you don't want to talk about it, it's cool. But like,
yeah, no.
When you were in a long-term relationship and you got single, like, how long did that take you to adjust for you to be like, I'm okay, I'm cool?
That's something I'm actually been dealing with now. Like, I'm dealing with now, and now that I'm not working and I'm at home and just kind of thinking about life all the time, I'm dealing with that like on day to day. My first relationship started when I was 15, and I was in that relationship for 7 years, and I knew him for 8 years. And so that was kind of hard because I literally was my high school sweetheart. I moved away to go live with him, and that's kind of why I picked the college town that he was going to go to college. And you know, first love really gets you. You know, first love really gets it over you, and especially like being I'm a queer man in a Latino family. Like, I feel like that's a hump in itself. You know, like, you even on the best days when like you can be accepted by your family, there's still kind of that machismo thing in the background that's always going to follow you and just feel like, but that, like there's always going to be a little bit of something that's a little off that you might even feel about you.
Yeah.
So I think like going into that relationship, I just clung to him because I finally felt like I didn't have to feel that way. And even though it allowed me, clinging like that made me oversee like, how compatible are we? Really?
Yeah. It was like kind of like in a way you're like, because I understand that exactly, because when I was with my ex, it was kind of like an act of rebellion in a way. Yeah. Like you're like forget the whole machismo thing, forget the whole like look, I don't care anymore, I'm my own person, blah blah blah. But then you don't really sit there and you don't really think like, are we compatible? Because this is the first love, and love is tricky, love is blind. So like what Eve says, what you think is love is truly not. So the thing is that it's all about what RuPaul always says at the end of every episode. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell can you love somebody else?
Yeah. And there's a lot of truth there.
Oh God, so much truth. Because the thing is that how can you love something if you don't know how to love? So you need to learn how to love. And I think like we have issues with ourselves. Like, a lot of people don't know how to love. And that's the problem. Like, especially with gay men, we have an issue where that we still don't fully love ourselves because of how we're brainwashed from the time we're born. We're brainwashed into a very straight world, and we're basically either told that we should hate ourselves or that there's something clearly wrong with us. Because if we have to come out to people when straight people don't have to do that, but we have to come out to people, that's where a problem really hurts. Because straight people will never understand that we have to come out. We basically got to tell you that there's something wrong with us and that you have to accept that.
That's what it feels like.
And that's what it feels like. And even though people are cool with it now and things like that, and technically you don't have to come out, but you kind of do still. And the thing is that you don't realize until you started coming out that you realize that you have to come out to the whole world. Yes, and that's and just the thought of that is stupid, because like you never know if you're like going to a job interview or whatever, you don't know if your boss is cool with gay people or not. So they assume you're straight, and then you're like, should I tell them I'm gay like right away, or should I just stay quiet?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not simple. It's not simple. So that act alone shows that if you don't tell your boss, that shows that you don't love yourself as much as you think you do. And if that's the case, then you're not ready for love. at all, which is why I think
Yes.
which is why I think that there's like, God, I don't want to come across like I know everything, because I don't, but it's like, this is just a theory. It's a theory. So, which is why I think that why gay men are like, because the way that we're classified in gay culture is that we're classified by body type, like by our race, like, you know, are you a bear? Are you an otter? Are you this? Are you that? Are you this? Are you that? And then you have to categorize yourself as that because other people tell you this is what you are. Yeah. And then you're like, really? So that's what I am, and that's what I am.
And this is on top of like feeling out of a heteronormative world, feeling out of straight world. So then going into this community where you feel like, okay, I'm accepted. Well, there's some caveats to that.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, you're categorized all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're categorized and you're put into this box. And I'm not saying like there is gay community that is accepting of all people, but at the end of the day, when it comes to sexual preference, that's when it becomes an issue. So it's like, look, I don't want to date anybody that's black or something. Like, you know, like there's just people like, I don't want to date anybody who's fat. I don't want to date anybody, you know, who's too feminine, or I don't want to date anybody who's too masculine. That's where it becomes an issue. So that's where the self-hate comes from. And therefore, I feel that a lot of the men in the gay community don't love themselves. I can't speak for any other community but my own. And the thing is that and we can say that we love ourselves to we're blue in the face, but if we've ever questioned our sexuality around other people, if we ever felt uncomfortable about who we are or anything like that, then we truly don't love each other, like ourselves. And I think that in order for us to fully love ourselves, we have to be in that mindset where you just don't give a shit anymore. Yeah. And I don't know. That's my mentality on it. I mean, I didn't expect the conversation to go as deep as that because I'm like, whatever, but like but sometimes realism is where we have to get. And, you know, it's probably a good first episode for that. But
that's
like,
what I would want to listen to anyway. This is real shit, you know? Yeah. And it's not always talked about, you know? And in a community where we should be able to be ourselves and connect with people, like, obviously, if we can't do that, then we're not connecting with ourselves. No. And like, when you realize that, it's like, whoa, how have I been living if that's the case?
Yeah, and it's like, in a way, it's like you also have to like play by the rules of the dating world, because since the dating world is so drastically different, like it's so disconnected. Because let's go back to a pre-internet time. Like for me, I lived in a pre-internet time, and I can think that dating for gay men had to be done in code, like secret. Like you had to wear like a handkerchief on a certain pocket or something like that, and it had to be a certain color, and all this other stuff. And you had to get this language and whatnot. Now we're in a spot where we are still anonymous. Like me as a gay man, I can't go into like a Barnes and Noble, see another man that I find attractive, and ask him out on a date without potentially losing my life. That is a problem. And the thing is that like a straight guy could go into a Barnes and Noble, talk to a woman, and get her number, feel comfortable, whatever. I mean, it's an uncomfortable situation already, but like for us, death is an added thing, or us getting beat up is added to it. Like you don't want to offend somebody because they're gonna be like, oh, you think I look gay? I ain't gay, blah, you know.
Yeah, and that's very real. That is very real.
Oh yeah, it's very real. And the thing is that like now it's like what I hate about this quarantine the most, and what I appreciate about the quarantine and what I hate about the quarantine is that because I've been through quarantine for a long time, it makes it easier for other people to understand me more because they've also been through a quarantine. And even though it's not as long as like something 7 years, I'm like, imagine feeling like this for 7 years. You know, imagine being isolated from your family for 7 years. Imagine being isolated from stores and not leaving your house or anything like that for 7 years. That's hard. And then on top of that, you add like that you're a gay man in the mix, and the only person you're speaking to is your boyfriend, and you're just like, what? Like I was not expecting to talk about this so early, but like Regardless, though, you know, I think that what's worse about this quarantine is that we're left to our own thoughts and we're left to think certain things. And one of the things I loved about the course is that it was different types of gay men, different backgrounds, different times, different things. And it's like, it's a lot that you can learn from. Like, I'm like, wow, we're spoiled now. You know, I can go on Grindr, blah, 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 you know, message and hook up with whoever I want, and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, there's no connection there anymore. So there's not like a real life connection that you can actually have. It's not like there's like a friendship that blossoms into a relationship. There's not that aspect anymore. For us, we don't have that, you know, so it's not like, it's not like that. Like, sometimes people get lucky. Like, you're like, oh, I grew up with a friend, didn't know he was gay, thought he was straight this entire time. He's my best friend, kind of have a crush on him, but then all of a sudden, like, I don't know. It's very difficult because it's like, when we're little, we have to crush in secret. Like, I remember when I was little, like, I loved Britney Spears, I loved NSYNC, I love all the typical poppy things back in the day. But I had to pretend that I liked rap music, and I had to pretend that I liked, you know, like what straight guys are supposed to like. And I had to grow a taste for that. Even though desperately, I was just practicing the choreography of like every boy band that was out there in my own room. In my own room, I still know Bye Bye Bye. But it's a very difficult situation.
Yes.
It's more complex and complicated, and a lot of people don't understand where we're coming from as gay people. So yeah, it's very difficult, and I hope that other people out there who are listening, if you guys happen to be gay or part of the LGBT, or you're questioning yourself or things like that, like, look, I'm not trying to make it sound like it's a depressing thing to be gay, but it's just that there's a lot of stuff that the community still has to work on. And the big thing that we have to work on is self-love. And like, we don't care. Like, we got gay marriage passed, you know, things have happened. We've made things happen. Like, gay people have made things happen. But then it's like, you see the translation. If you go to like a pride or something like that, then everybody's all prideful. But then after that, everybody's judgmental, or everybody's like picky choosy. And it's not about personality. People don't want to get to know about your personality. They want to know about, you know, are you a top? Are you a bottom? Are you this? Are you that? Are you into this? Are you into that? You know, that's what people want. And
not to mention, like, even sometimes like prides are all gay men focused, you know.
Oh yeah,
they don't care about the rest of the alphabet. And there's some, not only is there disconnections with gay men within other gay men, also like with bi guys and women and people who are femme, you know, and for some reason they're put into this other, even though we're already othered together. Like,
which is true. Like, if there's a person who's curious, just you saying the word that you're curious automatically assumes that you're gay. Like, people automatically, or if you're bi, they're like, no, you're not. You like guys. You're just having that card in the middle. Like, people don't believe that bisexual people exist. People don't believe in all these other things. And then straight people are like saying, well, there's all these sexualities and stuff, and they can't comprehend that there's different forms and complexes and different genders and different ways to identify yourself as something. And then other people, especially in the gay community, would be like, well, why do we have to label ourselves all this anyway? Can't we just label ourselves human? Can we just make it simple? Because we're making this too complicated. Like, I'm a demisexual woman, but I identify as he, she, use these pronouns. And it's difficult. It's a very difficult situation, but I just think that we just need to get to a space where we love ourselves. Like, I don't ever see, as a gay man, I know lesbians exist, but I don't ever see like that representation in like TV. Like, Drag Race is like the #1 gay show on TV. that's accepted by people, and people get drag queens, but that's just like, what about the drag king scene? You know?
There you go.
Like, it's just it's a very weird scenario. Like, there's also women that want to be drag queens, and then they don't consider them real drag queens. I'm like, you're a woman. Why do you want to be like? You're not a drag queen. You're a woman already, you know. But like, it's a very slippery slope for a lot of people. It leads to a lot of offensive stuff, and people just need to talk more and and understand.
And there's gay guys and queer people out there who may not even be into that period. You know, like there might be, where's the show where like I could crochet all day and we could have crochet competitions, you know, or different, or like gay guys, or like queer people who are into cars, you know, like it doesn't have to be like a straight person thing, you know, like that, like any interest that there could be, there probably is a fan base of queer people, you know, people who you wouldn't think fit the description of the fan base.
Yeah, like there are queer people that are Trump supporters, you know. I mean, or true. Like that are into the guns, or there's queer people that are into like the heavy hardcore religion. It's just it's a lot of stuff, and the thing is that it all comes from just like when you raise your child, and your kids' minds are sponges, is basically what I'm saying. And the thing is that a lot of times when growing up, before like mental illness was talked about and stuff, they said, we just don't talk about that side of you. You hide that side. And I think that that's the best way that straight people can kind of understand gay people in a way. I feel like when they're telling you, when you feel sad or when you feel scared or whatever, and they tell you to tough it out, like, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's something. It's a really tough scenario, the LGBT, and I feel like it's something that we definitely need to work on, especially now that like prides have been canceled and things like that. I feel like we could use this time to work on ourselves and loving ourselves and figuring out who we are, and are we good people? Are we being good people, or are we just faking? Are we just that friend that, because people look at us as accessories. Like, oh my God, you're a gay person. A straight girl would say, oh my God, are you going to do my hair and makeup? Like, I don't know anything about hair and makeup. Like,
or you're just automatically the gay best friend.
You're a gay accessory is what you are. You're an accessory. You're not a friend. You're an accessory. And there's a lot. Like, there's so many topics that we could talk about just about this topic alone.
Yes.
There's so many things there's so many stories that a lot of gay guys can have that would be so interesting and would be insane. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, though. I'm glad that we are talking about it.
I'm glad that we're talking about it too. I mean, I did not expect it, but usually, like I always say, ask basic questions first, and then it gets real after that. You know, you just have to break the ice with people and just be like, "We're good," and everything is good and whatnot.
Yeah. So, and then you build from there, and then before you know it, it's just like, so this is what happened with my life.
Yeah. So this is what happened with my life. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna look back on this like, I don't know. Because I always look back at all of my old videos, because there's like a time where I feel like, was I really motivated back then? But then I realized I've been complaining my whole entire life, and you know, I get like these bouts of like motivation, and then it phases out. So I don't know if this is gonna be a thing that's gonna continue, or if I'm gonna be able to do that, because you need like participants to be a part of this idea. So I need more people to want to be a part of the discussion, and we could talk about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be LGBT related. It could be video games, it could be movies, it could be whatever, but like, you know, and eventually I'm going to get to people that I'm not going to agree with, and those are going to be pretty tough if I have to, but
this is a learning experience, and like, you can at least what's cool about this is you can look at that and you can be like, oh, I like that, you know, or that maybe didn't work as much, but somehow we were able to find our groove again when we talked about this, you know. And
yeah, Yeah. So I'd be like, oh, look, we found our groove right there. So the thing is that it's about finding out what you and a person have in common with, and then just seeing how it is. I don't know. I'm a person, I think a lot. And when I think a lot, I think about just like how things work. And usually the best way to get a conversation with somebody is, first off, questions.
Right.
Really break the ice, because then you get to, that's like fishing for something that you have in common with somebody. Then after that, when you find the commonality that you both have, you test that and see if it's as strong as that. If it doesn't, then you continue with the questions. If it is strong, like oh my god, we're nerding out about this movie, or we're nerding about this show or whatever, then that's how friendships are formed. But making deep connections is what I'm also looking for too. So sometimes it's more about, if you speak about serious things, if you speak about like the serious topics and the seriousness of things, that's when, are your friends really going to be there for you in that time where you're really sad or depressed, you know? And you know, that's hard. Because the thing is that there's people out there that they'll tell you till they're blue in the face that they're there for you and all that stuff like that. But depression doesn't work that way. Depression, you don't want to reach out to people when you're depressed. So right. Sometimes you have to be the person that's willing to just check up on them, because just checking up on a person who's depressed and just checking up on them and saying, hey, how you doing? What's going on? That speaks so much more wonders than us reaching out to you for information. Because now I feel like, am I wasting this person's time? Am I going to dampen their day because I'm sad and they're not? You know, and then they have to deal with me. And they said that they could be, you know, mean what you say and say what you mean. Yeah. So I understand there's people out there that they're trying to be nice, but honesty goes a long, long way. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so it really does go a long, long way. And yeah. So obviously I know that a lot of people are probably sad during this quarantine. A lot of people are feeling depression. A lot of people are feeling anxious. A lot of people are feeling all kinds of sorts of things. And I understand that it's a very sucky time. Mm-hmm. And it's not fun. And I don't know. It's not fun to feel this way. It's not fun to feel this way. And, you know, if you were a person that was happy-go-lucky, outgoing, if you were an outdoor person, because I've always been an indoor person, you know, I can thrive in this environment. But like, to people who go out all the time, who have friends, who hang out with a group of friends and stuff, this has got to be hitting them the hardest. And, you know, and at this point, like, and I feel bad for them, because my life always revolved around them and how their life works, you know? Now it's like it's in reverse, you know? Now you have to know what it's like to be an introvert, being an extrovert. And I feel like it's harder doing that than it is being an introvert going to being an extrovert, because from jump, we are forced to be upon people and stuff like that. In this situation, you don't have to be forced to stay at home, but now you are. And that is completely different.
And you kind of are forced to realize, like, what am I? Am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Maybe I like seeing people more than I realize. You know, what does that mean about me? How long have I felt this way? You know, and this time really brings out a lot of introspect and just looking at yourself. And even people who probably like to be alone now are kind of missing, you know, other times more than they normally would.
Yes. And I just hope that when all this is over, and if we ever get to a point where we're back into like a normal state of things, where movie theaters are open and people can go to malls again and things like that, and we don't have to worry about COVID-19 or anything like that. But I hope that people appreciate every day that they share with people from that point on. Yeah. Like, appreciate the moments that you have with people, because, you know, this could happen again. It could be much worse. You know, there are people that are really dying out there, and their families. And at this point, these people are just nothing but numbers. We don't have a name to the people that died. We don't have a name. It's just numbers at this point. How many people are dead? Oh, 8. Oh, well, California got us beat 3,000 people. Like, what state has the most deaths? It's like a game to these people, and this is I don't watch
news this where we talk like this, and news like this is what we listen to.
I know, like when it was active shooters and stuff, it was about how many deaths did the shooter do, and then that just made other potential shooters like, see, I'm gonna beat that 21, 22, or 50 or something like that, and it's a scary thing. It's numbers, and we got to stop treating it like numbers. We're human beings, and we all are here, and I don't know. Oh my God, I'm getting so grim.
Getting so what?
I'm so grim. Oh my God. Okay, so all right. So let me ask another question, and I guess we'll wrap up in a little bit. But so like, how are you handling the quarantine yourself? Like, what are you doing to pass the time? And stuff. Do you live with people, or are you living by yourself?
I am living by myself. It is just me and the dogs, my two dogs. And I just recently became single at the beginning of this year, and I just moved into my own apartment in February. So now that all of this has happened, like it's a lot. To me, it's a lot.
Yeah, because it's like you can't even form a relationship with somebody right now either.
Right. And not that I was looking for that, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to distract yourself, like going out with friends, or even just maybe going out on a date or whatever. Now I can't do either of those things, so it's just kind of forcing me to deal with like myself. And it's kind of difficult because like I've been in a relationship longer in my adult life than I have been by myself. So I'm kind of getting to know myself, and it's uncomfortable at times, but it's also kind of like, well, I'm learning. There's some nice small victories when I kind of am finding more peace with myself and just allowing myself to enjoy myself. And I'm riding my bike a lot because I just kind of started this journey of trying to get healthier too for my overall health. So I'm riding my bike and enjoying that. And before, I really wasn't that active of a person, and walking my dogs a lot. Just trying to keep active in my own little ways and finding my own little routine. And I end up thinking about life, and like, now that I've graduated, what do I want to do, and what do I want to do with my life, and taking a look around, like just thinking like, what do I like about this, and how do I want to change, and is this a transition point in my life? I think it is. Where do I want to go? That's kind of been the sum of things since this quarantine, for me at least.
No, I mean, it's good that you're staying healthy, and it sucks that you know what, like, there's stuff for you to be proud of. I mean, you got out of a relationship that clearly, I guess, was unhealthy. And at this point, at the end of the day, you are focusing on you. And I understand that probably the breakup happened at like the worst time of all time, because you did not expect to be quarantined. You did not expect that life was going to be drastically different. And it's like you're forced to be thinking about everything, because right now is not the best time, because usually when you go through a breakup, especially if it's been a long-term relationship, you're just thinking of things. You think of things that you shouldn't be thinking of, like, did I make the right decision?
Right.
And stuff like that. And then so you really start to question yourself. But you got your own apartment, you graduated, you are in a position that is good. And I think that, like, once we get through the initial thing, like once we I mean, we could look at this, I guess, as like a blessing in disguise in a way. Like, it sure doesn't feel like one, but it makes us really sit and think about how we treat people and what we do. So yeah. And so it's just been really like tough. Hold on, I gotta text my sister real quick.
Oh, that's okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna edit this part out. Okay. Okay, now we're back to where we were. All right. But look, I understand that right now it's just like it's not the best the best of times, it's the best. It isn't the best of times, and it isn't the worst of times. Well, it is. All right, starting again.
It's complicated. That's what it is. This time is complicated.
It's complicated because the thing is like, look, right now, the problem is that when I was in a relationship, I kind of jumped right into another one, and that lasted about 6 months, and then that didn't work at all. I realized I didn't give myself any healing time, and then after that, I jumped right into another relationship because all I know is long relationships. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know hookup culture. I don't know how to just the idea of just like a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of thing is so foreign to me. Like, it's a foreign concept to me. I feel like that is the rudest thing you can do to somebody, and to me, it's like it's so sad to do that to people, you know. And it's like you don't want to be ghosting people, or you don't want to have to do that. But that's another thing that happens with this. It's just like there's this, like you can't even remain friends with people like without it going into a place that it shouldn't, you know, or you know whatever. And that's just kind of like the unhealthiness of just how our brains are, because like thinking like, does this person like, okay, I'm pretty sure that you can relate. Like if you start dating somebody and you use one of the gay apps that we have, Grindr, Scruff, what else is there? Growler, I don't know what Growler.
I think so. Those are the main ones that I know of.
Those are the main ones that I know. I'm pretty sure that there's a whole bunch of other ones, but like at the end of the day, there is, I don't know what to like you always talk to people and then you're like saying, ew, like this is how you talk? Like that's how you start the conversation with people?
I know, yeah.
Because like people go based off of like their desires and what they want. And then you're like saying, this person is creepy. Like people, that's creepy. Like they just start off with showing you the goods and being like, you want it?
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. I'm like,
what's your name?
Like they don't even ask your name. They don't ask your name. They just they don't ask your name. They ask you for like, you say, oh, you want this? Oh my god, and stuff like that.
What are you into?
What are you into? What do you like? Oh my god. And then there's some people that you have like good conversations with, like genuine good conversations, right. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like that werewolf mentality comes in, like the full moon came in, and then they are a completely different person.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, we're not in sync in this, so I don't know. Because usually what I did, what I would always do, and this is what I hated, like, and for anybody who sees, because you know New Mexico is a very small state, so
yes,
chances are if you know one gay person, you know them all. So the thing is that when I started an account, I always get self-conscious about my account. I'll usually like leave it on there for 3 days and then I delete it because it becomes too much. I get, in a way, I also get like obsessed too, because sometimes like, you know, I like there's people that they compliment me. So like I posted up a picture or something and everybody always like will comment on like my eyes or something, right? And then so there's people, the non-creepy people will come up there and they're like, wow, you have very pretty eyes and things like that, and they're like beautiful eyes or whatever. And I'm like, well, thank you. I don't know how to respond, and I realized I don't know how to respond to compliments because I don't compliment myself and I don't get complimented by people like in person. So it's very foreign to me. But at the same time, you kind of get addicted to it because it's like, wow, you know, this is not that bad. But then, yeah, it turns into that, and then you're like, oh, so that's what they're after. I'm like, okay, that's what they want. Like, okay, that's what it is. It sucks though. It really sucks.
It's weird. It's really weird.
It's a weird addiction to have.
and it's because obviously, I have to tell myself like there are auspices of the app. So like there's kind of that overall thing, like we know what this app is used for, at least not for everybody, but most commonly. So I think a lot of people go into that thinking that. But like even if that is something that I'm looking for, even if I just do want to hook up, I kind of don't want to just hook up for the sake of hooking up. I want to hook up because I connect with somebody.
Yeah, but then that also causes a lot of complication for a lot of people too.
Yes.
Because the thing is that if you hook up see, the problem is that you can't technically have a hookup with somebody and expect it to be somebody that you connect with too. I feel like it'll just make it easier for the hookup to happen because you're comfortable with the person and it doesn't feel so, I don't want, like, you won't feel so trashy, I guess.
Okay.
Like you won't feel like you're being judged because you spoke to this person, you had a decent conversation, and then you have the hookup and then you never speak to that person again. Like that throws me off. You know, like that really throws me off. And that's my downfall ultimately, because you know, you can't, that's literally my downfall. Like you have to be looking for something. Either it's hookup or relationship, and you have to commit to one of the two. And you have to, like, if you're gonna hook up with somebody, you need to be as cold as ice. You say, this is what I want you for, I'm gonna use you for that, and that's it, and we're done. And that's it. But then I feel like, oh God, why does it have to be so complicated? Because it's like, it's a disrespectful act. Then you have to pretend that that person doesn't exist. If you happen to run across them, you're like, oh God, I think I slept with that person. You know? And then you're like, then you don't want your friends to know about your little secret. You know?
Like a real world thing. And like you said, it's a bigger city, but it's not that big of a city. You can very well run into somebody.
Oh yeah, you can run into somebody. And then could you imagine, let's say that you have like a gay friend with you, and you're walking in the mall, and then you're like, oh my God, I think I slept with him. And then your friend said, oh my God, I think I did too. You know?
Oh,
that's creepy.
That hasn't happened with me, but I know guys who that's happened too.
You have to be careful, especially in here. Yeah. So it's really,
that's the thing.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Hold on for 1 second. Yes. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast though.
I'm making some spaghettis, but we also have steak on the side.
Ooh.
That's all right?
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and we're still doing our thing today, right?
Huh?
We're still doing our thing today?
Hell yeah. This is my brother's room. Say hi, Wio.
Hi.
He's doing a podcast right now.
Yeah. First episode.
Yes, we're going to do it. We're going to do it as soon as you're done. That's why I'm cooking right away.
Cool, sweet.
All right, come on. Come on, Daddies.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that was cute.
So I live with my sister and her husband, and you know, and I'm grateful for that I actually have people that I live with, especially during this quarantine.
That's nice.
But which is good, but it really sucks because it's like, you know, we all live like in the same apartment complex and whatnot, but like my mother, she lives in the same apartment complex as I do, and technically I could visit her, but like I'm scared because I work in retail, and and now these people are not coming in with masks, they're not coming in with gloves, they're not coming in with nothing. They don't care. They really don't care. And I have to like like I have to.
It's a can of worms.
It's a can of worms. So it's good and it's bad, but the thing is that we're all, quote, essential workers. So we're all going out and we're all coming home, but we do not like going to the store at all. So if my sister's going to the store, she always asks me, do you need anything? And I'd be like, yes, I need this. I need this. I will sell you the money and we're good. Because I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere if I don't have to, because I hate going out. I hate going out to stores. I hate going out to restaurants. I would much rather be at home. And even during this quarantine, I still prefer home. But like, I think it's different for me because I have to go out. And if that's the case, then I would rather stay home. I think that if I was stuck at home 100%, period, I would be wanting to go out like everybody else. But,
right,
you know, like a movie theater would be cool. I'm like, oh, I would like to see a movie, but like there's nothing to get excited about. Like I wanted to see Mulan, the live action one, and then this had to happen. And I'm like, okay, well, that plan. I'm like, damn it, I wanted to see Mulan. And then, I wanted to see. I don't know. Were there like any movies that you were interested in seeing that have been potentially delayed by this?
Actually, no, not nothing was really on my radar. Mulan did intrigue me, aside from that one.
That was that, but it wasn't like a I have to see it kind of thing. But like I don't know, because a lot of live action Disney movies, like I just like the classics too much. That this live action is for those who never experienced the originals. So I don't know. I haven't even seen Frozen 2 yet. I don't have Disney Plus. I should get it because I want to see Frozen 2 and I want to see Onward and I want to see all those other movies. But God, that's really gotta suck though. I hope drive-ins come back. That would be cool.
That would be cool. I wonder if people would consider doing that, because that would be like, we could all be separate in our cars. We could bring our own snacks. Blam.
That's perfect in my opinion. Like, it would be awesome if drive-ins come back, because at the time they were starting to die out. I never went to one. I never had a chance to. I think the only closest thing I did was like I went to the zoo to watch the Goonies, and then everybody was like in the park watching it. It was like movie in the park, or Zoovie at the park.
Oh, funny.
You know, they're trying to be punny with the zoo, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, there's a tiger somewhere in here, but I'm watching a movie. A movie I could watch at home, but people miss that, and people like that. Like for me, I would always question, like, why would I go to the movie theaters again to watch Harry Potter marathon with a bunch of strangers when I can watch it in the comfort of my own home, pause the movie every time I have to go to the bathroom? But it's about the event. It's about being around people who like something that you like, and so I get it. So, but I don't know. Like, God, Comic-Cons are going to be different now. So many businesses are going to come out from this. Like, there's going to be so many businesses that are going to change just to include something, so that way if something like this happens again, we can function as a society, as opposed to just scrambling around and figuring out what to do. Like Zoom literally was like, hate to say it, but Zoom zoomed into action the moment that this happened.
It really did.
Yeah. Oh my God! Now it just occurred to me that the chorus meeting is actually right now, so I don't know if you want to go and do that. So we can like end this here if you want.
Yeah, sure. I there was some things I had to get started doing.
Okay.
My dog's out in a second.
All right, so let's get to the part where we end this stream. So first off, thank you so much for being a part of my first ever episode of this. I'm sorry that it got dark in a few places. And to the viewers, I'm sorry. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode here. It is May 4th, so may the 4th be with you.
Yes, may the 4th be with you, and you're so welcome. I thank you for just like letting me do this with you, and I'm glad that we've just able to have some human moments, and that includes a little bit of darkness, but at the same time, it's healthy to talk about it.
Yeah, it is. It's very healthy to let these emotions out. So if you guys are interested in being a guest in one of these other episodes, I'm always looking for guests, so you can always DM me. You can DM me saying that you want to be part of it. We can set a time and a day where we all can speak and stuff. And let's not make this like a last time that we speak thing, we can speak after this, we can speak later on at another time, so that way that it's not just like, oh, this is for the show kind of thing. No, like I really am using this to speak to people. Now obviously it's going to get to a point where it's going to be hard to reach to everybody, but like, humble beginnings, people, humble beginnings. But yeah. But I don't know if this is going to work. I had a good time. I was doubting it a lot earlier, thinking that, but I'm like, oh wow, this is actually cool. I didn't know, because I thought that like my anxiety was going to get the best of me and I wasn't going to be able to talk to you at all. So,
I'm glad that we actually got to talk, because we've always kind of touched base here and there, but we've never really had a conversation. But I had a feeling that we would probably get along. So I feel like that with the course too. Like,
the problem is that I don't like approaching people because I come across as awkward, and I don't know what to say. Like I could say hello, but then they'll say hello, and I'm like, well, what do you say from there? You know, like what do you say from there? And so I end up just kind of awkwardly just kind of walking away. And I just don't know, because there's some people in the course that knew each other for years and they hang out outside of it, and then there's some people that are like that are new and can like, and these people like reach out to them and they're very, very receiving. Me, not so much. I never. So me, like I could know you for years. There's people in the course that I know for years, and I still have trouble. Like there's some days that like I have to like to let everybody know. I just have to say this and then we'll end this. But I have to say this. Look, if you've ever met me and I come across as cold or distant or anything like that, I need you to understand that that is not my intention. That is literally me in thinking of what to say. Because there's times in course, like before the course, like after the course, like I beat myself up because I'm like, dang, I didn't talk. Oh my God, I got into my head too much and I couldn't talk to anybody. I would always have to tell myself, say hello to at least 3 people. That's bad. Like, it's so hard for me to do that. And that's the problem. And I've talked to people, like I've talked to everybody, and everybody's been so nice and has been so welcoming and things like that. But then after that, it just becomes like I would rather be invisible than be there. But I do like it, and I do like being in the space of people. But then I always feel like I constantly compare myself with other people. I'm like, these people are happier than me. These people are in a much better place than I am. These people are in stuff. I'm like, what do I have to offer? I have nothing to offer. All I do is I play video games. And I feel like the only people that I can connect with are people who play video games. I'm like, well, the majority of these men, they don't play video games, you know, and I don't watch TV shows, so it's like I can't talk to them about Game of Thrones because I only made it to the 3rd season, you know. So I'm like, what do I do? And so it's a very, very slippery slope for me. So conversating is still work in progress. I've been getting better at it, but it is what it is, and I have to take extreme measures to make things happen. Like when I was trying to do that original project that I was doing, where it was the 2020 project, to celebrate 10 years of just like my YouTube channel. But then that just never, I couldn't do it. I went through the hassle of asking everybody, and that I was proud of, that I was asking people, and people were willingly like asking me these questions. But I never had a chance to like do it, because every time I saw it, I'm just like, I feel like this isn't going the way I want it to go. This isn't the exact way I envisioned it, and that bothers me. Like I want it to look like a freaking Netflix documentary, and it's not looking that way. And I set unreal expectations for myself. So that's why with this project, I'm just, it is what it is. If it grows into something, it is. If it stays the exact same way, it is what it is. And
figuring it out and finding your sweet spot. You know, sometimes you've got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to know what you like and what you don't like. You know, and that's part that, and from that you can be like, well, at least I know what I like. At the very least, from that.
So we'll end this here. So to keep the conversation going, you guys can keep chatting and saying what you guys feel about the video. If you guys are interested and want to be a part of the discussion, like I said, you can DM me here on Facebook, or you can DM me anywhere that you know, and we can have a conversation like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be on camera. We can just do voice chat if that's more comfortable. We can ask each other questions. We can go into deep topics like this, and see what happens. Once again, thank you, Christopher, for being a part of the episode, the show, and whatnot.
Hey.
And I hope this isn't the last that I see of you. And I hope that when all this quarantine and stuff, and we get to see each other in person, that I'm actually able to have a conversation with you, as opposed to being a weird, isolated person.
No, now I know so much about you. You know, now I know that we have things in common. So I look forward to like chit chatting with you after this, and even before we go back to rehearsals, we can chit chat here and there, like on Messenger or something.
Oh yeah, exactly. We can definitely do that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and bye.
Bye.